Stop the count. Stop the count.
All right, so that's Saturday Night Live on the election decision. What a moment that was.
It was interesting. I mean, we were on television.
Yeah, but I saw it afterwards.
I watched it in the car on the way home.
Everybody was rushing out of here just to make sure that they could see what Saturday Night Live was going to do.
I walked outside and there were crowds, and I was like, you've all been waiting for me. And then I realized it was for the Foo Fighters. Or Chappelle. Not me. Joining us now is Anthony Scaramucci, former White House communications director for the Trump administration, founder of Skybridge Capital. Although, Anthony, I know you would be cheering that outside for me if you were outside.
I would.
My friend, let me ask you, as somebody who knows the president, or at least used to know him, what is your expectation for how this next 2.5 months is going to go?
Well, they're trying to raise money. I mean, they have one last big grift going on right now. They probably raised $60 million off this legal facade, this nonsense. And then in the fine print of all the stuff, it says, well, this could be used for campaign debt and other things that they need it for. And so they're ginning this up, and they're just going to grip their supporters probably for another couple of weeks or so, I guess. But he'll leave. He may not be man enough to invite the vice president or the president-elect into the Oval Office like Barack Obama did for him. He may not be man enough to help with the transition or even go to the inaugural, but he's going. And so we'll just see what happens. But I think right now they're just doing everything they can to raise money. You know, they couldn't afford the Four Seasons Hotel, so they went to the Four Seasons Landscaping Company, I guess. I don't know, but he's leaving, and all of this stuff I think is just a ruse.
Let me read this from the Philly, I think it was Philly Inquirer today. What began 5 years ago with the made-for-TV announcement of Donald Trump's presidential ambitions from the escalator of his ritzy Manhattan high-rise ended Saturday with his aging lawyer shouting conspiracy theories and vowing lawsuits in a northeast Philadelphia parking lot near a sex shop and a crematorium. Is that the best they have right now?
Well, they're flailing. And so, yeah, I mean, it's the best that they have. It's a poor reflection on the country, but it's further evidence, Katie, thank God, that the American people spoke and have voted him out, because the way he's handled himself in the last 96 hours is just further compounding evidence of how unfit he is to be the president of the United States. So, yeah, no, listen, I enjoyed that yesterday, particularly the backdrop that they were in. You know, I don't understand why the mayor would do that to himself, or even Corey and David at this point. And we're watching, you know what you guys know what a transition is, right? What is a transition? It's a presidential Twitter feed turning into your crazy uncle's Twitter feed by Thanksgiving. That's a presidential transition.
So let me ask you this. Aside from the government agencies and the transition on a institutional level, let's talk about the president and his supporters. 71 million people still voted for this guy. He still has a strong command over them and how they think. It is unlikely he's going to tone down his rhetoric. Talk to us about the concerns that you have, if you do have any, about that relationship between the president and his supporters, as opposed to just the transition, which, quite frankly, is important for the continuity of government, but is not essential for it to continue if Joe Biden still goes ahead.
Well, listen, I see it very differently. I don't see that. I see that more as a noise, not a signal. Those people are actually voting for themselves. That's a grievance vote. They're dissatisfied with the system. And so it's incumbent upon the vice president, or now the president-elect, and his team to help those people. If he's successful in helping those people, putting the right policy initiatives in, their anger will dissipate and Trumpism will die. I also think once we clear our heads, all of this rancor going away, people are going to reflect back on the nonsense of the president's administration, President Trump's administration, and say, why were we doing that again? Why do we need that type of anger, bellicosity of rhetoric, bullying? Why were we accepting the normalization of this aberrant behavior? So I see him on the ash heap of history before long.
Well, listen, I think you ask a really important question, which is what does Donald Trump support? What do they do? Does he still lead them in some way, some fashion after the election? Does he become some sort of media star on Fox News? Does he start his own media company? I know that had been talked about for years. Does it work? But there's also the issue when you're talking about a transition, and yes, it goes forward whether or not Donald Trump concedes. But remember how important a transition can be. Part of the reason why, or what the 9/11 Commission found, that part of the reason why we missed all of the signs in the lead up to 9/11 was the failure at having a smooth transition between Bill Clinton and George W. Bush because of all the turmoil that the 2000 election had caused.
Good point, yeah.
And that was part of the reason why George W. Bush made sure that transitions going forward were going to be as smooth as possible and there was going to be cooperation. He did that with Barack Obama. Barack Obama did that with the Trump administration, again, because you want to maintain a continuity of government. And there's a big question about how cooperative this government is going to be with the Biden government. Already the GSA hasn't handed over full access to many of the transition materials, transitional access that a normal president-elect would get. Yeah. They're stonewalling a bit. Anthony Scaramucci, always good to see you.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it.
This is a conversation we should continue having.
Yeah, without a doubt. Coming